Hey guys, welcome back to another YouTube video. Today I'll be doing a patch 10.25 notes rundown. I'll look at mostly the most important stuff first. I'm also going to cover different roles. I'll start with mid lane, then I'll go into top lane, and then we'll look at other things like jungle and items. So let's just get right into it. First thing is the most important change. This patch is going to be it's all the way down here. This thing, Ludens Tempest. It now has 20 flat ability haste, meaning that this is a really good item on champions like Ryze and Victor. Like, it was already good on Victor, but on Ryze it was pretty mediocre, but now it's really good on Ryze because you get 20 ability haste. Before you'd be at 22% CDR once you build this, but now you'll be at 28%, so that's pretty significant. Magic Pen went down a little bit, but it doesn't really matter too much. So the way I see this playing out, right, is I think Ludens Tempest is probably going to be the go-to for the most part, unless you're versus a lot of tanky champions, then you can probably go Liandry's. So if there's like 2 really giga tanks, you probably go Liandry's. If there's like 3 tanks, you always go Liandry's. Other than that, you should pretty much always go Ludens, is my opinion. Okay. Everfrost also got the same change, but this is not a good item on Ryze. Never build it. I know a lot of my viewers are Ryze players, so yeah, just don't build this. Unless you're like Lissandra, Everfrost is not good to build. Alright, we'll look at some other mid lane stuff real quick. Where is it? Where is it? Well, first let's do this Imperial Mandate. Base damages went down by a lot, so the Ryze Mandate combo does a lot less base damage, so it's not going to be very viable on mid anymore. But it is a support buff because it's a lot cheaper, 200 gold cheaper. So that's pretty good for support. Okay, another big item change for mid lane is Seeker's Arm Guard, went down by 10 AP. However, this item is still really broken, and Zani's is still really cheap, so it's still going to be a really good item to build. The main power of Seeker's Arm Guard is when you get that 30 CS, you'll have 45 armor from it. So that's why it's really OP. This as well, Muramana. You know how you could go Muramana and mages and do a lot of damage? Well, it doesn't work anymore because it procs in abilities that deal physical damage and basic attacks. So yeah, goodbye Muramana Ryze, goodbye Muramana Orianna, goodbye Muramana Victor, goodbye Muramana for mages. Alright. Let's look at some more important mid lane stuff before we go into the other less important mid lane stuff. Big for Ryze actually. This is 2 more base AD for Irelia and then 1 second less cooldown on her Q. So yeah, Irelia is Ryze's biggest counter. So please ban that, guys. If you're a Ryze main and you're trying to climb, ban Irelia. This champ is even more broken. Okay, Anivia. Anivia is huge, okay? This thing is really big. I mean, obviously you can read the summary right here, but I'll also explain it. Here's how I see Anivia being in patch 10.25. I think patch 10.25 Anivia will be something like Kassadin, but a mage, right? Because what her ulti does is it creates terrain in a team fight, right? The enemy cannot run into terrain. And even though it doesn't actually create physical terrain, like, if an enemy goes into Anivia ult during a team fight, they're just asking to die. They're just asking to lose the team fight. And with that thing being on a 1 second cooldown, man, at level 16, like, you just control how the team fight goes, man. This is not even taking into account, like, cooldown reduction. This could be like a 0.6 cooldown, potentially. At level 11, it could be like a 1.5 second cooldown, right? So, this is really big. Her E got 10% more AP scaling and 30 more base damage, and it costs a lot less mana, so that's pretty good for Anivia. And then her Q, damage shifted from being equal in both pass-through and detonation to mostly detonation. So most of the damage is in detonation now. The missile speed is up, so it's easier to land as well. And then her basic attacks also have more speed, the missiles, so it's easier to CS as well. So yeah, this is pretty good Anivia buff. Alright, we'll go to some minor mid lane stuff. Alright, Fizz, mana growth decreased. So this is a direct hit to like the Night Harvester build. Yeah, and like the Rocket Belt build, because Fizz needs mana, man. This is gonna be pretty bad for Fizz, so that's a big Fizz nerf, especially for low elos. I don't really see much Fizzes in Challenger, but I hear it's pretty OP in low elo. Alright, Karthus buff for late game mostly, just a little ratio. KO nerf, 5% ratio on her E, and then she's easier to abuse because she has less MR. Lulu, this is a bit tricky because It does 70% damage to minions, so I don't really see solo lane Lulu coming into favor. But it now does bonus damage if you hit with both of her Q missiles. Mordekaiser Q, bonus damage, so this means you'll do a lot more 1v1 damage in your Shadow Realm, most likely. Pantheon, big changes for Pantheon, alright? Pantheon, this is the most important thing about Pantheon. His E no longer blocks turret shots. You know what that means? That means top lane Pantheon and like support Pantheon get hit the most because top lane and support can dive their laners with their jungler, right? But because you no longer block turret shots, you can't do that. At level 3, you can't tank 3 tower shots and just destroy the enemy bot for no reason. So that's pretty big. And now you get movement speed whenever you slam your shield, so that's an increase to his dueling. So they're trying to bring solo lane Pantheon back. Mid lane, top lane, that's what you're trying to do here. And then Q cooldown's a little bit lowered. So his dueling is increased. He gets armor penetration, so adds a little bit of scaling as well. And then there's a little bit of the slow and damage on his ulti. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. So TLDR, support Pantheon dead, solo lane Pantheon potentially alive. We'll have to find out. Seraphine, this is just durability. She just gets more health and her shield is bigger. Yasuo and Yone, big changes. Okay, 1% more attack speed per level means you can get to that Q threshold at 1.33 second per Q a lot quicker. So this is pretty good. And Yasuo and Yone are actually kind of decent, especially if you rush Kraken Slayer. They're kind of strong, actually. Talon, 20 more damage at level 9 with his W. Pretty good early mid game. Just I guess it's just good all around, but it doesn't really mean too much. I don't think Talon's that broken right now. Eclipse nerf as well for melee champions. So this hits like champions like Jace, and Lucian. Wukong, this is Wukong jungle clear buff. This is a Warwick buff just in general, more damage. This is a Rengar sustain and clear buff. This is Twitch buff all around, more attack speed, bigger slow, and bigger ulti damage. This is Jungle Talia revival. Jungle Talia is back in the game. It does 100% damage to monsters, so Jungle Talia is back. ARAM and Nexus Splits, we don't care about those. This is big for Samira. Samira got nerfed really hard. Instead of knocking up immobilized enemies, it only knocks up knocked up enemies. So this is like Yasuo R, but way worse. So that's pretty big. And then her Q and R do reduce lifesteal, so she doesn't just heal the full in a team fight anymore as much. This is a pretty good Nidalee jungle buff. Q costs less and it does more damage. It has more base damages, you know. So that's pretty good. And then her E costs less late game. Nasus buff, the Q cooldown is down by 0.5 seconds, pretty good. Morgana nerf, W does less damage, pretty much all around. Like you can feel it once you put 2 points into it. Lee Sin buff, base armor, lower shield cooldown, and then E does 20 more base damage, so pretty good for his early game. Kayn late game nerf, his Q does a lot, his Q has a longer cooldown actually, 1 second, so that's pretty significant. Alright, Jhin nerf, so Jin's like probably one of the strongest ADs right now, so this is pretty justified. Just a laning and late game nerf. Ivern, quality of life changes, his cooldowns are a lot shorter. I don't know if you'll really see him be meta. Ivern's a bit of a weird champion, you know. Gragas, healing and W cooldown, meaning his clear and sustain went up. So a lot of junglers have their clearing and their sustain went up. Echo passive damage to monsters increase and cap remove. Another jungle Echo clear buff. Annie nerf, this is support in mid. You get 10% less move speed when you press E, so that's pretty good. I don't really like playing versus Annie personally. A Mumu nerf, his mana pool is smaller, his E does 20 less damage at max rank, and then his ult doesn't stun fully until level 16, so that's kind of big. And then also there's some tank item changes here. As you can see, tank items got nerfed. This is more expensive, this gives less HP, and this gives less AoE, and then the slow is decreased here. Seems like it's mostly at new skins and all that, of course, but I think we covered all the basics. Let me just triple check here. Oh, one thing we forgot about is crit items. Okay, so Zeal, cheaper. Rapid Fire Cannon, much cheaper. So this isn't a buff for attack damage mid Twisted Fate, if any of you guys play that. Phantom Dancer, cheaper. LDR, just a buff. IE, very important actually. You can build IE third. If you have 60% crit, it gives you 35% crit damage. Before, it would give you 24%. So that's 11% more crit damage if you have 60% crit. So that's pretty big for ADCs and Lucian mid, in my opinion. So yeah, I think we covered everything here that's pretty important. I'm not gonna drag it out. I think it's better to summarize, you know. So yeah, I think we covered everything. Anyways, thank you guys all for watching, and good luck on patch 10.25. I hope you guys all climb. See ya.